I've got money and now I need love. Sorry, I gotta play some better music. This is better. When the music stops, we will start. So good, so good. I got you. I feel good. The sugar was fine. I feel nice. The sugar is fine. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, I know you feel it wrong. I got you. I feel nice. I feel inspired. So nice, so nice. I got you. All right, all right. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Andy and Nordin, and a very warm welcome for this morning session. We're going to be here for an hour or so. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about what's GetSmart all about. Okay, some logistics, some housekeeping matters. This session is recorded. So that's fine. And if you can hear me and you can see me, kindly just go into the chat box. Oh, that's good, Andy. Or type it in the chat box. Say yes, that you can see me and you can hear me. Good, let's move on then. Okay, for today, for this, let me admit somebody else. Okay, got. Hi, Shimi. Somebody's coming in. Okay, so for today, what we're going to do is I'm going to be talking a little bit about all this GetSmart. Now, what is GetSmart all about? Really, to me, the GetSmart it's about how we can make an environment conducive, how we can create a system, how we can really take action. And what are these? These are critical success factors in any one organization, be it an individual or an organization. And we're going to deal with, for today, we're going to deal and confine ourselves in this part of the segment, not forgetting the other two, but we will concentrate on this one. It's probably a question of time, really. We don't have all the time to cover this whole three facets or this three-legged stool I call. So let me just do a little bit of checking, huh? Just checking. You see this picture, this is picture number one. What comes to your mind? What do you see in this picture? What do you see in this picture number one? 15 seconds. What do you see in this picture number one? 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Put in the chat box. I know some of you have already started putting in the chat box. That's fine. Okay, there's no right or wrong answers. Don't worry about it. There are no right or wrong answers. Just give me an impression what you see on this chat box. Okay, I want to show you picture number 2. Now, this is a picture number 2. What comes to your mind? What do you see in this chat box? What's your impression of this picture? Put whatever that you have, call it optical illusion from Andy. Put whatever that you can see. What do you see in this chat box? I've got more people coming in, but I have no idea how to open this up. Andy, you want to help me? Because I can't see them.
Sure. You make me co-host.
Oh no. Okay. I think I've seen them. Okay, fine. I'm okay. I thought they just came in and I didn't have to open up. Fine. So I'm going to open up the next picture. And again, for those of you who just came in, I'm going to show you these pictures. I have 3 of them. We have a summary later on. Just look at the picture. Give me your impression. What do you see of this picture? What do you think? What are your perceptions of the picture? Right. So moving on to the third one. What do you see of this picture? What comes to your mind when you look at this picture? You got 15 seconds to do that. What comes to your mind when you look at this picture? $15 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we see blind people touching what? Blind people touching an elephant. Okay, we'll do that. But how do I get to do this? To do a co-host? I have no idea really. I've not done this before.
Go to the participants name. What the list of participants?
Okay, I got a participant's name.
Okay, go to participants and then you can change. You go to the more. Go near the name, any of the names there, and then click more. There is mute and more.
Oh, participants.
Okay, and then go to the list of names, right?
Oh,
and
yeah,
you see.
I can see you. But
okay,
put mute
there's a mute and more. You can press more, and then you will see. Put the person as.
You have to hover the mouse over the name, then the more will appear. Yeah, you hover the mouse over
the names.
Over the name.
Okay.
I tell you what.
Make them cool.
Thanks a lot. The purpose of the co-host is just in case this doesn't come on the recording.
Yes. Yeah. In case
Okay,
somebody.
It should be okay. I've tested this for a while. Thanks all of you for suggesting. Because let's move on, okay? Let's move on. I'm going to turn on the third page. Now you saw the 3 pictures. Some of you would have seen the 3 pictures. And I think Andy has given some impressions. Some others have given some other impressions. Really, the purpose of my showing this picture is there's no right or wrong, as I said. The first picture, what do you see? I mean, open up unmute yourself and tell us. Unmute yourself and tell us what you see of the first picture or the second picture or the third picture.
I see old and young lady, but it depends on which angle.
Andy could see the old and the young lady. How about Nordin? How about Hani? Can you see old lady and a young lady, or you can see only one lady in the picture?
I can for this one at this moment. My optical at this moment I'm seeing it as the young lady, but I've seen this picture before, and I know that it can be an old lady when you turn it upside down.
How about picture number 2? How about Nordin? What do you see of this picture number 2?
Okay, the picture number 2. When the first time I saw the picture, I feel this is the something argument between 2 person. So after I look back, specifically, actually, the subject, the things actually make me confused. At the left side, there are four type of four things lah. But when at the right side, actually there are 3. So in between they are confusing the trick of the picture.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing, Nordin.
Okay.
My purpose of sharing this is, as I said, it's my impression, it's my view. If it's not your view, that's fine also.
Yeah.
The first picture is a picture of two ladies, one young and one old.
Okay.
We're not really focusing on these two ladies. The point really is, because if there are two persons looking at the picture, if I see it as an old lady and you see it as a young lady, we're gonna be shouting at each other, won't we? I mean, we're gonna be, hey, come on, you're not kidding. It's an old lady. So just bear that in mind. Just be mindful that sometimes whatever you see is not the same, and for the same stuff, whatever you see is not the same as somebody else who looking at it. Likewise, the picture number 2, it's the same thing. Depends on which side you are in, which side you're looking from. Because if you're looking from this other side on the right, on my hand on the right, and he says, no, it's 3, and this other guy says 4, and both are right. So, I mean, this really, for me, it brings about, we have to be respectful of what others' views are, other people's opinions. Why do they say it's 4? Please tell me why. Please tell me why do you say it's 3? And then you get probably some commonality. Now, the third picture, what I learned from this third picture really is, it's all about your perception. It's all about, if you are blinded, if you have not seen an elephant before, or you have not really felt an elephant, to you, when you feel the tusk, wow, this must be a knife, it's a dagger. Now, if you look at the huge legs, oh, this one must be, so your view, as far as your perception, because you can't see because you're blind, it is something else. So again, I mean, it teaches us some communication. How do we respect each other? And these are some of those things that we're going to put into for today in GetSmart, so-called GetSmart productivity system. Right, I'm going to move on and tell you a little bit about what GetSmart is all about, right? For today, what we're going to do is we're going to deal with all these pointers. It may all sound very strange to you. What's this foundation of GetSmart productivity system? GPS really is all about global positioning system. What is this, GetSmart? It doesn't matter, you get to know a little bit about it if I share later on with you. We're going to talk about the three-legged stool. We're going to talk about some apple tree analogy. And this trial plus 4, what is trial plus 4? But you soon find out. Just bear with me for the rest of the time. We'll soon find out. And at the end of this 1-hour session, it is my hope that you can take away some of these tools that I'm going to share with you. And that you, if you believe in these tools, just practice for the next 30 days, and I guarantee you, you will benefit from the practices. Success means differently to different people. For me, for this purpose, for today's discussion, success of an organization depends largely on the organization's ability to foster a conducive work environment for teamwork and team building, and to develop appropriate work habits for growth and profitability. GetSmart Productivity System, GPS in short, provides the foundation to enhance productivity, focusing on the precepts of this three-legged stool, comprising of conducive work environment, the robust process or system, taking into account SMART goals and able to take actions on SMART goals. Now, I've done quite a fair bit of the research to come up with this package. By the way, this package was developed by me, and it's mine stuff, okay? So it may resonate with you, it may not, but where did I pick those things from? It's from me, and it's not from me because I've done some research. why do I choose these three gurus? And the three gurus that I've chosen, there's so many gurus out there, plenty of them. But I like to believe that by choosing the right ones to be able to package this, then I have something to share with the rest of the world. And that's my purpose in life, so to speak. So I've selected Buckminster Fuller. Bucky Fuller, he's very renowned guy. He's an architect, he's an engineer, he's everything. And he's famous for many things. I'll cite some of his quotations for you, and I'll pick them, and you can do whatever research that you want later on what Buckminster Fuller is all about. Edward Stedman is the guru of all gurus. He's the #1 guy who's talking about total quality management, total quality control, TQM. And my favorite, Paul J. Meyer. In 1962, he actually started 2 organizations, one of which is Success Motivation Institute. The other one is Leadership Motivation Institute. And the 2 of them are still around. These two institutions are still around, although Paul J. Meyer is dead and gone since the 80s. And why? And he has only one fundamental idea that he's sharing in this school of success. It's all about goals. It's all about setting goals. It's about knowing what you have and knowing what you want and knowing what you do. I have highlighted some of these quotations, and there are numerous of them. If you go into the Google search, this guy's got tons of goodies to take away. Buckminster Fuller's some of these goodies, one of which I have highlighted, and one of that which I really like is, if you change the environment, that's what he says, if you change the environment, you change the people. So you change the environment, you change the people. And he says, don't fight forces, use them. And he also said, integrity is the essence of everything successful. I mean, I strongly believe in them. You may not, but let's move on, and let's just take it with a pinch of salt. From Williams Edward Stedman, the guru of all gurus in total quality management, and he says that if you cannot describe what you are doing as a process, you don't know what you are doing. Think about it. If you cannot describe what you are doing as a process, you don't know what you are doing. It is not enough to do your best. You must know what to do and then do your best. And he mentioned that profit in a business comes from repeat customers and customers that boast about your project or service and that bring friends with them. Now with Paul J. Meyer, the favorite quotations that I've had is that he said, the one in bold, if you're not making progress that you would like to make and are capable of making, it is simply because your goals are not clearly defined. And he also said, whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. And this is the American term, thy will be done. And he also said productivity is not an accident. It is always the result of commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort. So these are some of those learnings that I have kind of, in a way, adopted, felt strongly, and believed strongly. And with all this, I actually package this thing called the GetSmart productivity system. I published this little booklet in year 2014, and ever since, whenever I have the time, or even if I don't have the time to do this sharing, I would also impute some of those principles in what I do on a day-to-day basis, because I strongly believe in it. Because if you don't believe in something, then you will not have this passion to do it. So I believe strongly in the 3 basic critical success factors. I put them together in this published book that I've come up with. And the citations obviously belong to all this, or these principles belong to all this people. I don't talk about principles these days, but I talk about the practical part of it. Because when you go through a journey that you have gone through, in my personal experience, I've gone through many, many learnings, I'm still learning every day. I mean, the fact that I'm here in this course, because I'm still learning. So we learn along the journey, and with so many years of learning. And I've taken so much of theories and knowledge and all those things, and I've consolidated all this big picture into some small picture. And I'm now into the process at my stage of life. I'm into something very fundamental, very practical. You can take it and you believe in it and just do it. And don't ask questions, just do it. So here I'm showing you something that is so practical, but is so useful and so powerful. Now, this is the stool that we're talking about. This is the stool that I just picked up. It's something that I kind of like, and I thought maybe I could associate this tool and tell the story about this tool. Now, how many of you had actually sat on this kind of a three-legged stool? If you are a golfer, you probably would be able, have experienced something. Type on the chat box if anybody has sat on a three-legged stool like this, for example. I mean, it could be any other three-legged stools. Most of the stools are four-legged, right? Okay. The point that I wanted to make is, great, I've seen some feedback coming in. The point that I wanted to make really is that if you are asked to sit on a three-legged stool and then just on one leg, are you going to be comfortable? Chances are not. Unless you are a real acrobat or you are one of those circus performers, chances are this stool is going to drop, right?
Yes.
Now, if you are going to sit on this stool with the two legs, for example, it's again, you're going to be a circus performer or a real good acrobat. Chances are it's not going to be comfortable. You're going to fall, right? But this tool is going to stand on a three legs. So just to basically use this, if you like, as a symbol or something that you can think about. And I'll share with you some other stories when I share these stories with some other guys. At the end of the day, if you ask, what do you learn after 3 weeks? What do you learn? Oh, I heard about this fellow, he talked about stool and all that. And then he can connect. And that's my aim, really. Okay, so we'll cover this part, and then we're going to move on and we see what. So I said, for today, because we only have 1 hour, right? I mean, we could go on off, the line, and we can talk a lot more about this, because I used to do this kind of things for a 2 days workshop. So I'm not condensing the 2 days workshop into 1 hour, but I'm only taking one part of it. But even this part of it is creating a conducive work environment. Even this part of it, I could do a half-day workshop, but that's very pressing. Or I could do a 1 day workshop, face-to-face. I've not done Zoom, to be honest, and I've really not done a lot of workshops these days because I'm caught with a lot of other things. So it is so practical, this tool is so practical that you could actually run a 1 day workshop, and you could incorporate all that we have learned in this particular VLC about creating awareness, about all these ACEs, right? It's all there, because then you can get a lot of engagement. And in the principles of adult education, adults like to participate, adults like to do it. Because in a Zoom environment, it's not so easy, but I'll try and do whatever I can. So for today, we're going to confine ourselves into one part of it, and I'm going to do this for you, and I'm going to ask you, what you see is this picture is the picture of the apple tree, right? Now the question is, apple tree, and you have probably eaten apples, whether it's green apples, red apples. Give me a show of hands, or just put a type yes or no. First of all, I mean, have you eaten apples before, so that you can relate, we can talk about it. We're on the same page. So I'm sure all of you have eaten apples. I'm sure all of you had some point of time, taken green apples and red apples. Next question is, there are some apples that you would have tasted before that are sweet, juicy, succulent, and others that are not so juicy, not so succulent, not so sweet, sour maybe. Is that right? Is that good? Give me whatever, type it on whatever, or talk to me, open up, unmute and talk to me. So basically, we all have experienced taking apples that are not so sweet and some apples that are not so juicy. And we have all these experiences, isn't it? Now, this next exercise, which I'm going to ask you to, so I said, ordinarily, when it comes to this part of it, is we're going to have a lot of action, we're going to have a lot of activities in a face-to-face environment. But for now, I would just have to showcase, and I will also tell you that if you are using this in your next classroom, you can take this and do whatever. There are no copyrights, and these are all my stuff. That's fine, no copyrights. I mean, you can go into my website. I'll give you my link to the website. I've got quite a few things in there, and I just do it for. I don't. I'm not motivated to. Now I like money, but I'm not too terribly motivated to make more and more money. I like to share. Okay, I've got some stuff in the website. If you could go in and you pick whatever that you want. Okay, the exercise that I'm going to ask you to do is, I'm going to use this whiteboard, and you could annotate, and you could put whatever that you have. The exercise is this: assuming, now this is the exercise, assuming, I'm going to flip back later on. Now, if these apples, just now, these apples symbolize your jobs, your profession, whatever that you do currently. Now, what would you do to excel in your job and your profession, in particular, to be able to create an environment, to be able to create a conducive work environment? Just annotate, draw whatever you want, put it in on the screen. Just a bit of a checking. Do you see the whiteboard? Do you see a screen somewhere on the whiteboard? Are you able to annotate and put whatever? All right, good. Just do whatever. Teamwork. Yes, teamwork. What else? What else would you say that to create an environment? Add more fertilizer. Increase apples. To increase apples, add more fertilizer. What else? So these apples are now your job. Your job, whatever that you do. What can you do to value add, to bring your job to the next level? What can you do to value add, to bring your job to the next level? Yes, to get rid of all those not so useful stuff. We call those yucky berries. We call those junkies. Get rid of them. Be prepared to let go. What else? What else would you do in order for you to go forward in your respective jobs? what else would you be able to do to make you bring yourself up to the next level? Okay. So in a face-to-face environment, at this, when we do this portion, there will be a lot of happenings. Additional vitamin to the apple or the stuff. So as an analogy, instead of giving a lot of vitamins to the apple tree, maybe you put some goodies, some hygiene factors, give them more money, some sweet talk, make apples fillings to the sour one. I'm glad we can assimilate. We can actually get some feel about how we can use the apple tree concept to apply into our practices. And then can you imagine, we don't have the time here, but I'll share this with you because, I mean, it's just not a talk as a talk, you know, all the way from me, but it's a little bit of a learning curve for you. We are all trainers some ways or another. You could use this actually, and you could really, as I told you, that you could spend one day doing this and you get a lot of enrichment that comes out of this because there'll be a lot of interaction. Can you imagine you go into the breakout rooms, even in a Zoom, you go into the breakout rooms, you have all this synergies that is derived. And then as we've done all that, everybody comes together, you know, and in a face-to-face environment, you put up and people will write on the flip chart, and then you get somebody to present and everybody is happy, and then you just sit around and let everybody work. You know, I mean, that's what workshops are, right? The trainer, the facilitator just go shopping and the rest of the people do all the work. So that's called workshop. So that's what I used to do anyway. So they just run around and then later on you just summarize. You summarize all these things. But here in this environment, firstly, we don't have the time. Secondly, is to be honest, I am not familiar with this environment. I don't even know how to do this breakout rooms, but you could actually use this, practice this in a breakout room. So there's a lot of other coverages in the ACEs that, you know, Nasrin and Adnan shared with us, right? You could actually incorporate all these things. So at this point, you can have all these things. And then the goodies are going to come out. And this is from me. And I'm not saying that all these things they're not right or wrong. This is your perception. This is your reality. Your perceptions are your reality. So there's no challenge. Nobody is going to say right or wrong. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all these things. So I will have to, I cannot stop share. I will have to annotate and then clear all drawings. Clear all drawings. Okay, then I can move on. Then I can stop this one and then I can move on. Okay, so we've covered this part of it. But this next exercise is something that I have created, that I've come up with, and I share with you the background of this later on. Because if you're gonna create a conducive environment, because that was the question. If you want to create a conducive environment, I have here, this is the part that we're talking about, the trial plus 4. Now, trial is spelled TRIAL. And these are the +4 factors or +4 elements. Let me just repeat. Trial is trust, respect, integrity, accountability, leveling. Leveling is an American term for fair play. And the +4 elements are what we call frequency in communication. Treat people as individuals. Give credit when due. Tell people in advance about things that would affect them. I tell you, the concept was what I created in year 2014. But you would have seen all these things, and I'll tell you where you can see all these things one way or another. Now, the trial itself, the trust, respect, integrity, accountability, you could take out some of this, whatever yearbook, Fortune 500 companies, look at their business plans, yearbooks, then this company will be, I believe, our values are, one of them must be trust, respect, and there could be a lot more values, but I've chosen this because I like this word called trial, and there must be so many of them. Now, it's not about knowing the meanings of these words. The meanings of these words, you can easily check in the Google. You go to the Google search and trust, and the fellow will tell you one whole paragraph. And if that's not enough, go more searches, and there's so many other paragraphs. Same thing with respect, same thing with this. The question is really, the test question here is, do you believe that if you have trust, respect, integrity, accountability, and fair play, you would have a beautiful environment? Just like in an apple orchard where everything is so serene and so peaceful and everything. And I'm not saying that you're going to stop here. You can add whatever that you want to add. You can add anything that you want to add. And that's what GetSmart is all about. You can add whatever you want to add. And so at this point of time, for example, in the Zoom environment, if the time permits, we're going to zoom into classes and we're going to break out rooms and all that and let them go trust it out. And it's impossible. You don't want to kill them by telling them to do everything. And you just break them out and say, hey, look, you guys take trust and respect. You guys take integrity. And then 2-3 questions you're going to ask them as an exercise. Go in the breakout room. First of all, do you believe that all these things would work towards creating a conducive environment that works towards creating a productivity output in your section? Yes or yes. If it's no, then tell us why. If it's yes, but that's not important. That's the belief part of it is one thing. The next question you ask the people to do in a breakout room or in a real life environment, give me 1 or 2 examples. Give me 1 or 2 examples of what would you do in your job. Nobody else's job. It's all about you. Never mind about what your friends are doing. What do you do to produce the trust? What do you do to create this respect? What do you do for integrity? What does it mean to you? What are some of the examples that you can showcase that in your workplace that you portray sense of integrity, the accountability? And as a coach or as a trainer, you could give some examples. You could give some examples. You could do any examples. There's so many of them. I mean, some simple stuff. Integrity. I mean, if nobody is watching, you're still going to do what is right. Or if you tell somebody, hey, look, the class is going to start at 11 o'clock. And to be early is being punctual. Different environments have got different ways of handling people fairly. Now, in here is the practical approach. As I said, I've gone through this journey, learning, theories. Now we're talking about the real stuff. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do all these things, the results are also inevitable because the results are going to be zero. Because you probably have heard of this before. If you continue to do what you continue to do, you're going to end up doing, or you're going to end up with the results that are about same. And this is actually from Paul J. Meyer. And he said very clearly, because at the end of the day, it's your attitude that matters. And it's not easy to measure attitude. But the attitude will lead to a kind of a fundamental belief. And the fundamental belief will create what we call a kind of a behavior. Is what you do, because what you do is what you believe, which is actually a behavior of thoughts. And then you go into creating a habit. And if you have good habits, you're going to end up with good results. If you have bad habits, you're going to end up with bad results. And if you want change, just change your behavior. If you want to change the results, you change your behavior. So it's the process. It's the way and manner of getting the results. So we're not learning theory about here. We're not interested in the theory, but as I said, built in this concept, there are plentiful of theories. I don't want to talk about the theories right now, but you could relate all these theories. At the end of the day, it is all about being positive. It's all about mindset change. But mindset change on its own, not good enough. What do you mean by that? How do you practice? How do you put into practice a mindset change? How can you relate the results with the habits and the behavior? We all talk about, we learn about attitudes. Oh, our attitudes are very important. Positive attitudes leads to positive whatever it is. So what is that? You know? So if you can relate that your attitude comes from actually from your schools, because all that you learn, you create and you form a kind of an attitude. And then what? And that it becomes your belief. And then what? What about the behavior part of it? So that's what I'm talking about. I'm looking at the behavioral part of it. I'm not just looking at the behavioral part. I'm looking at the behavioral part to even go further than the behavioral part to create a habit. Because how many of you know, and I'm sure most of you, we wake up in the morning, we go straight into the bathroom, we let go. We brush off. So it's an automatic process. You go into the car, you drive the car, you don't know how come the car is moving. It's all automatic. How do you make your job like that with the right formula, and then you get the right results? Now the other elements or the other factors are so important, because we are no man is an island. We're not alone. I mean, we may be doing it on a one-man show, but we are not alone. We're dealing with everybody else. We're dealing with people. Frequency in communication is so important. Marriages, relationships broken because nobody communicates anymore. These days, everybody goes chuk, 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 all this, and nobody talks to each other anymore. And that's the problem. And all this SMS messages, to me, it's communication and not communication. It's like, it's there, but not there. So what is communication? Frequency, how frequent? What frequent is frequent? How are you going to understand each other? Go back to the pictures that we show. Hey, I see number 3 and you see number 4. I see a young girl and you see an old girl. Hey, I feel like this thing is like a trunk, you know. Oh, I feel this one is a sword. How do you solve this? How do you resolve this without frequency in communication? Treat people as individuals. How do you treat them as individuals? What is the meaning of this? To treat them as individuals, and some of you have done all this DISC, MB, TINO. We all have different walks of life. We come from different societies, different culture. This is what we're talking about. It's a question of treating them as who they are. Respect them for who they are. Give credit when due. What comes to my mind is, when you give credit when due means you actually look for all the good things to say thank you very much, good job. That's right. Even small little things, good job, because human beings are human beings. We like to be cuddled. We like to be embraced. We want all this little bit of, rubbing, tapping on your shoulder, pampering. How do we do that? There's a lot of theory inside, but we're not talking theory. We're going to put into practice. How do we do that? Is that important? If that's important, why aren't you doing it? So for each of this factor, you need to really write all the points that you want to write. At this point of time, you may want to think through a little bit. I would prefer that you know, we could do this exercise, write whatever that you want to write, but we may not have that much time. I'd rather we share some of these fundamentals, these concepts with you. And as I say, we could do a few other things later on. Tell people in advance about things that would affect them, especially that would affect them. And this is fundamental, right? Good relations, human relations. We don't want to get shocked based on principles of resistance to change, you know. Things that would affect them means they would have to change. And we know the principle of resistance to change is big time. So then why don't we tell them in advance so that there's no more, you know, there still be unhappiness, but to a certain extent, maybe lesser. So these are some of these fundamentals that I would share with you. For now, we still have actually 10 minutes. Now, there are two ways that I could do this, to spend this 10 minutes or 15 minutes. You could reflect in your mind and then put into your chat box all the thoughts that you have. Or if you like, we could unmute ourselves and let's use this 10 minutes for communication based on just this part of it. All those that you have said, just this part of it. Just talk to me, ladies and gentlemen, just talk to me. I'm feeling that I'm talking a bit too much. So please talk to me. Oh, so I haven't asked you to do something, man. Shimi, Coach Shimi, welcome to this little joint here. Patrick Chia, welcome to the joint, man. Let's open up and share some of those things that I've given. As I said, these are all kind of package 2014, and I'm still talking about it, except I don't have very much time to, you know, handle these things because I get into a lot of consultancy work. Open up. This is free for all. This is 10 minutes for the rest of the time, for as much as you like to know a little bit about what we've just shared. Just share with us, open up your box, and then we can talk. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Nordin.
Yes, Nordin. Yes, I see you.
Can you elaborate further on accountability?
Okay, accountability. I mean, for shortage of time, I mean, I would just answer you, Nordin. But in the real world, I would pass the buck. You know, if I'm doing a class, I'll pass the buck because somebody will give some examples of accountability. Okay. Anyway, I'll just share this because what comes to me as accountability is that as a leader and as a team leader, you are responsible for the team. If somebody in the team does something wrong, you are accountable. You have to take leadership, and leadership comes with power, and power comes with responsibility. And so accountability is responsibility that you are in charge. That's an example. So if you are leading a team or you are part of the team, you are part of the person who's accountable. Why? Because if you don't do that, you're not having a conducive environment. I mean, that's an example. And in the real world, there will be a lot of exchanges. There will be a lot of talk. That's why just for this little picture here, I could spend half a day workshop, bang, bang, bang. And I tell you, everybody will be very happy. And then there will be a lot of enrichment. And then at the end of the day, I will tell them what you're going to do for the next 30 days. That's where we're going to set goals for the next 30 days. But as I said, for this exercise, we're just going to talk through. Thank you, Nordin. Anybody else like to share? Sorry, Nordin, is this good or good?
Yes, okay.
Oh,
yes. Okay.
Thank you. That's in my mind. As I said, some people may have different ideas. I don't know.
Yeah, yes.
Anybody wants to share? Honey, you want to say something, honey?
Well, I find this topic actually interesting, even though this is something that people has been talking about since like many years.
Yes.
We still have to continue talking about this because it's something that develops the work environment. It
Yes.
actually, yeah. I mean, some people might say, okay, this topic we have been talking about this like years ago, but you have to continue giving us the input on this area. Like, how do you actually create a positive environment in the organization, in at the workplace? And all the things that you have actually come up with just now is something very relatable to, at least to me, and also to, I'm very sure that everybody in this room finds it relatable if they have been working in certain environment before, like trusting each other, respecting each other. If you don't have all those things, you won't be able to create a positive environment. And I like that Apple analogy. I might be using that in future sessions.
I tell you,
Apple tree.
I share this with you because can't remember when, but it's been a long time ago. It's probably like 2015, 2016. I had a group of about 40 undergraduate students, actually from the Philippines, in collaboration with the Institute of Human Resources. And I had a 4 hours workshop, just to entertain them a little bit. So, and the subject matter was, and these are all, very academic stuff. The professors will speak to me, before we agreed that this is what. So he said, hey, this is a serious thing. Our students are graduating this year and they're going to go to school. And then the subject we're going to be talking about is a subject called diversity management. So they're going to be meeting with people who are very diverse workshop. So I said, and then we want to know what are some of your contents. So I said, my contents are, I'm going to share some ideas with them. I'm going to share my GetSmart stuff. I'm going to have the other thing which I imported, which is all about the generation, because this is all about diversity, generation gaps, all this whatever, from the war boomers or baby boomers to the Gen Z, Gen X, whatever. And then what I do is I facilitate. So I said, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. But they were a bit doubtful. So when this group came, I made so much fun out of this whole thing because they never know what they don't even know because they all been used to this lecture environment, right? Another lecture. Oh, I want to come to Singapore. I want to listen to this fellow. Maybe I can get some ideas. So when they came, the first few things that I talked to them was, okay, guys, let's do some exercise. So we actually started with dancing. And I tell you why I chose dancing, because the Filipinos love it. So I played music and let's make a happy day for ourselves. Let's do it. And then after that, I broke them out into some other breakout rooms. No training, nothing. And these are the notes. Okay, one guy goes in and talk about the baby boomers. This guy, okay, and then share with us in the group. And then I use this one. And so for 4 hours of workshop, and that's diversity. So basically, why do you want to know whether this guy is a baby boomer? Why this guy likes this? Why this guy likes that? This guy is a D person. This guy is an I person. This guy is a, S person. This guy is, and all this color brain stuff. Why do you want to know all that? What about you? What about, how can you? Because at the end of the day, you want to achieve results, right? To know them, to know their characteristics, to know their behavioral pattern, to know their likes and dislikes, you are likely to be able to broach. You are likely to be able. So I've actually jumped the queue. I'm actually hop, stop, and jump, basically, because why do I need to know that? Because if I practice trust, respect, integrity, regardless whether you are DISC or you are CB, whatever TI, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it is the results that matters, it's the output. So I've done all this. I'm trained to do DIS, CMB, TI, and the 18 personality factors. I've taught all those things, and to be honest, I come to a stage that I just felt that there's no more meaning in all these things. The meaning is, to be very crude, by knowing you so well, I can manipulate you. Why do I need to manipulate you? You see, there are lots of people who have gone into NLP. They are great guys. But I tell you, if you ever meet any of them, they are super good. They can actually hypnotize you. I went to a school that we went into some kind of what they call, big time hypnotism. And you see some of those things in the video and you think that it's all magic, but it's real. Guy tells you to sit and you sit. Guy tells you, and it's so why do you want to do that? I might as well say, hey, look, you're going to have an environment that is conducive. Let's practice some of the goodies. Yes. Let's make it our way of life. Then everything will come to place. Go back to the fundamentals. Go back to Buckminster Fuller. And he says that just create an environment, and you change the environment, you change the place.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because to me, it's like people always complain about, I hate the job and everything, but I usually say it as, now, whether you hate it or not is different. You have entered that area. You have to create your environment. If you want to make your environment happy, then you have to be the person who creates that and get other people to actually maybe like follow, not to say, you don't really have to force them, because you have to embrace the differences that you see, but it's something that you have to have in your mind. You have to have a positive mindset. You can't always complain about others. You have to look at how can I, or what can I do in order to change this so that I am happy in the office. Yes. That's my take to this. I mean, I know that wherever that you go, there will always be complaints about job. There will always be things that we don't like, but that is life. We will always hate something. But how do we counter that thing? How do we actually make that negative thing into positive? Which goes back to the NLP thing that you were saying about.
Yeah, it's so I've done away. I've taken a shortcut approach because all the learnings that we've gone through, whether it's in university or postgraduate courses, PhD, be it, at the end of the day, it would teach us to be smart. And then if we are smart, we can do a job better. And if we can do a job better, we can achieve better results. And if we can achieve better results, we can have more earnings, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This is the formula. We just hop, step, jump, consolidate all the colleges that you've gone through, all the learnings that you've gone through and readings that you've gone through. And hey, look, take this, give it a shot for the next 30 days. And miracles happen. Because we've heard all these things before, the law of attraction. The law of attraction, I mean, they could be coming from so many other authors. But I like to believe that there are fundamentals that came from Buckminster Fuller in his book called A Critical Path that says something about, it didn't say about law of attraction, but he was interviewed when the law of attraction people, accelerated learning came into, they weren't in Malaysia, they were in Singapore, they were all over the world. And I still believe that the basics, the law of attraction. But the law of attraction at the end of the day is still about your trust, your belief. The belief system, it is the trust. And it's like, if you go a little bit off key here, you go into the religious part of it. It's the same. We say our prayers. When we say our prayers, we repeat our prayers. We want to look for something. It's all about law of attraction. True. So I mean, those who are very pious, my God, it's my God. So what law of attraction? That's not, that's blasphemy, but that's what law of attraction is all about. Because if you believe, and there's energy, and the fundamentals, if you read this book, I got it ready here. If you read this book, it's a very difficult book to read. It's a book by Buckminster Fuller, Critical Path. And in there, you will find stuff there that you cannot understand. But Buckminster Fuller, in his wisdom, had already conceptualized all these things. He said that we are all here in planet Earth for a purpose. We are all connected. An atom that comes into contact with another atom creates what they call a precession. It's very technical. I mean, but basically, it is simply said in my own words, you drop a stone in a pool of water, you create the ripple effect. Yeah. So whatever this stone is your behavior, is your output, is your whatever. Can you imagine? We are in a team, 10 of us, each of us drop a stone, the ripple effect, and then we are all interconnected. We are all, and that's all about law of attraction. It's all about precession. In Buckminster Fuller's term, it's a law of precession. It's very, very deep. I honestly don't understand. And he talks about the purpose in life. He talks about the bees, the honey bees. The honeybee story. Anybody have heard about the honeybee story? I'm going to take 3 minutes. Honeybee story, but this will bring about some insight of what Buckminster talks about. He talks about honeybee. Now, can you personify yourself as a honeybee? You wake up in the morning every day, morning, wake up, go to the tree, go to the flower, pick the nectar, come back to your hive, queen bee, create honey. And then every day, in, out, in, out, in, out.
It becomes a subconscious mind already.
It becomes like, hey,
habit.
You think that the honey bee is put on planet Earth for purposes of making honey. As far as Buckminster Fuller's story is concerned, he said that the honeybee's purpose is not about picking the honey, picking the nectar, go hive, make honey. That the honey bee is put into planet Earth to procreate, to grow, to prosper, to grow the plants, to grow the trees. And how does it happen? The bees have got a lot of this little fur stuff, pokey stuff. When they go to the little flower, and then they'll pick, and then some pollens will get into their chest, get into everywhere in the body. And then when they fly from one plant to another plant, from one branch to another branch in a process. So that's what.
But it's interesting that you say that because there is a movie, it's an animation actually, that which is called the Bee Movie. I don't know if you have actually watched that. Okay.
Yes, I've not watched that, but tell us about that.
Okay, that Bee Movie actually tells similar to that. I can't remember what year it was shoot. It's an animation, but it's a very good movie. You might want to watch that because you can relate that to what Minster.
I read recently in somebody's article. I don't know
it talks about because it was talking about bees, because in that animation the bee can talk to certain people. So in that they were trying, this bee was complaining, saying that, oh, how come we are always doing this? We have to do like what you were saying, we have to go to the bee and then we are forced to do this. Like everybody have their own work to do. Okay. And then the person that the bee was talking to was saying, okay, you know what? Let's go to court and then fight for this. Because the bee was saying human beings are taking the honey from us. We are doing the work, but they are taking it from us. So what they won? They won the case. The bee didn't have to do anything. The human cannot take their bees and everything. And I mean the honey, they can't take the honey from the bees and everything. But at the end of the day, the environment, the flowers were not blooming. Everything went so badly. And the moral of the story is basically trying to say that you are actually here for a reason. Everybody have their own part. And, you know, the reason why a bee has to do this is because of other things. It's not just about you doing the work. There is a reason for it. And yeah, the person who actually created that movie might have actually read Buckminster's book and then created the movie. Okay,
but it's real because there's some reality article that I read that if you take away the bees from planet Earth, the Earth will not survive.
Yeah.
Think about it, because the plants will die and everything. There's not enough. The winds and all that, not enough to create all this procreation. But there's something else that came into my mind when Buckminster Fuller talks about the purpose in life. Because we all believe, you and I go to work. Why? Because we want to earn a living. Why? Because now, if that is the case, that's not good enough. If we can see a bigger picture, now illustrate it with how these bricklayers, what do they do and all that. You have a bricklayer number 1 and you have a bricklayer number 2. Now you go into work sites in all this kampong, anywhere in the road, you see many bricklayers, they will be laying bricks. You ask the bricklayer number one, what are you doing? And then bricklayer number one will tell you, yeah, this is nonsense job. I've been here for the last 20 years, and every day, only want $20, $30 a day is all rubbish job. Okay, that's one perception of this bricklayer number one. Then you walk to this bricklayer number two, and you go to this bricklayer number two. Bricklayer number two, what are you doing? Oh, sir, you must know this, sir. I am part of this company, this construction company, that is the principal so-called construction company to build this, and this in about 15 months' time is going to be a community center. And I tell you, I'm just part of this team of workers. And when the center is built in 15 months' time, in 18 months' time, bring your family, bring them along. There are many amenities. We've got swimming pools, we got tennis courts, we got all these things. And I'm so proud to be part of this ABC construction company. Now, these are mindsets. The difference between A and the difference between B, because B can see the bigger picture. He's in there not to earn the living, not to work for whatever. He's for a bigger picture. He wants to see growth in the community. He wants to see all kinds of happening, benefits the world. That is part of the contribution. And therefore, go back to the B story. If only the B knows that he's part of this creation or procreation, he would have done a lot faster and a lot more. And then we got more trees and got more plants, and then we have to have more green kind of environment. Okay, I think I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. But yeah, I'm going to stop recording. But most importantly is something that I want to share this slide with you. Okay, I want to share this slide with you, which at the end of the day, coming here talking about all this is not good enough, because at the end of the day, what are you going to do for the next 30 days? How are you going to take all these things and put into your workplace and create whatever you have? I have not touched on the other leg, which is the process and the systems. I've not touched about this goal setting, but just this part of it, as I said, in my experience, if we all do this, the first part to create an environment, we would have, if we're going to talk about productivity, we have 20% increase in productivity, because everybody will be happy working together. And there could be more other things that you want to talk about, right? So with that, I'm going to end this session, and anybody wants to say something or chat about something, and somebody's already left the chat room. Okay, I'm going to stop recording to start with, then we can, if we like, we can continue to chat, but I'm going to stop recording